Good morning, everybody. I'm on my way to have a meeting with a guy about a thing, and it's not near my house. It's not real far from my house, but it's not near my house, 60-ish miles away. And it got me thinking, let's do a little non-paranoia, non-doomer porn, non-fear-mongering thought piece with a little bit of a lesson and an explanation at the end. So I'm going 60 miles-ish from my house, we'll call it, right? And that's 60 miles, not as the crow flies, but as the roads go. And so if I had to get from that place back to my house, right, that wouldn't be bugging out. I'm basically returning to base, which would be my number one priority because that's where all the people I love are, right? So if I had to do that, how would I do that? Well, number one would be drive, right? If I can drive, I'm gonna drive. Why am I so burpy? If I can drive, I'm gonna drive. Otherwise, what are my options here? Right now, it's drive or walk. Drive or walk. What if there's an EMP? Well, we'll be walking, right? So assuming I can drive, I'm gonna drive. End of video, non-issue. Well, that was real exciting. Okay, walking, 60 miles, 3 days. I have good boots on my feet. I am dressed appropriately for the weather. I have cover garments, right now this is from a CCW standpoint, this is a cover garment, but this is intermediate, right? And then I've got outer layers in the back of the vehicle. And then I brought with me my line one belt, even though I'm carrying my EDC right now. But I've also got my line one belt. And I've got a day pack, about a 25-pound day pack. It's got 3 field stripped MREs in it and a gallon of water and a little bit of survival stuff and some ammo and basic cover, a poncho, some signaling, comms. I keep a Baofeng down here in the door pocket. And then I've got my briefcase with me that a dear friend and brother gave to me that was made by Mr. Ollie. I'm gonna do a review on it because it's too BA to not do a review on. But in this briefcase, and I'm driving right now through small town America, so now's not the best time to dive into it. But in this briefcase, I've got my pens and paper and a couple of books that I'm working on and notes for the next men's group Monday and business cards and blah, blah, blah. But I've also got a blowout kit, a tourniquet, 45 auto, 2 reloads, shears, the whole nine. Well, I'm at a stoplight, so here's my briefcase. My man bag, your Merce, nice Merce, bro. Handcrafted live edge leather made by an American with his own 2 hands, designed for off-body carry, carrying a 45 auto. Yeah, call it a man bag. Go for it. Right, so I've got that with me as well. And then my EDC, right? I'm EDCing a compact 9mm. I've got 1 reload. I've got a folding knife. Got a lighter, chapstick, tourniquet in my back pocket. I always keep a TQ on me. Tourniquet in my back pocket, a handkerchief, a couple other odds and ends, pen, a Sharpie, wallet, Zitziot, watch, wristband for my brother Aaron in Florida and his crew, Quentin and Josh. And I can see your face. What is your name? I can see your face. I feel terrible. Bobby. There you go. What's up, brothers? So here's the deal. I've got all this stuff with me. Okay, cool. So I find myself in this town, this small metropolis 60 miles away. Now what? It's time to walk out of here. What do I do? All right. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I've got a quart of water with me. Thank you, NWA Prepper. Right? So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pound that quart of water, down. Okay. I'm gonna come out the vehicle, and in my left hand, I'm gonna grab this bow fang, and in my right hand, I'm gonna grab this man bag. I'm gonna head to the back of the vehicle. I'm gonna grab my jacket, okay? And I'm gonna go to the back of the car, and I'm gonna throw that jacket probably in the day pack. I'm gonna take my all the useful things out of this man bag and stuff them in that day pack. You know, miniature blowout kit, reloads, the whole nine. I'm gonna take that 45 and I'm gonna put it in my war belt. I'm gonna throw my war belt on pretty quick. Now, I have videos on the war belt. When you say war belt, you have to say it like this because this is how operators talk. I'm gonna throw the war belt on. And I got 2 rifle reloads, 2 pistol reloads, blowout kit, quart of water, boonie hat, fixed blade knife, radio, gadget pouch, small survival kit, the whole nine, all on that line one. Throw that on, throw the day pack on, and we're walking home. And that's what we're doing. Oh, and there's a rifle back there. So I will insert mag, chamber round, keep it on safe, and walk home. Period, the end. And so, you know, and I like, probably the other thing I would do, let's be real honest here. I've got a pretty BA trauma kit back there as well. I might strap that to the top of this day pack. It's a good trauma kit. So yeah, I'd probably try and take that. That would be worth taking with me. I know that there's usually anywhere between a partial and a full case of water back there. So I might stuff some of that in the day pack as well. But I already got a gallon of water in the day pack. What I might do is pound another couple bottles of water and get like a good half gallon in me right now. Unless it's like, you know, this is a hot situation and we got to go right now. Then I'm walking to the back of the car, running to the back of the car, whatever, grabbing that rifle and doing rifle things. It's hard to envision a scenario where we go from the vehicle works to now there's people shooting at me with rifles in, you know, heartland America, although it could conceivably happen. So just a little thought piece, you know, what would you do? What would you do in your vehicle? You know, how is your vehicle set up? You know, and also there's some concepts here. I am going to be more than 50 miles from home. When I'm gonna be more than 50 miles from home, generally speaking, I take at least a day pack with me, that if I had to shoulder this thing and walk back home again, I can. I also stay real cognizant of what the weather's gonna be, not just today, but for the next few days. And am I dressed appropriately for that? Most of the work that I've done in my life has been outside. I'm an outside worker. Even when I had office jobs, I was miserable. I would not even work in an office. I would work remotely because to the point that my bosses would, you know, were not happy with me. And I'm like, hey, you can be unhappy with me, but have me here, or you could just not have me here at all. I'm not coming into the office because there's too many people that need to get throat punched there, the end. So, T, why have you had so many different jobs? Because throat punches. No, but if I'm gonna be outside, I try and stay aware of what the weather is, dress for it, and I always have good footwear on. Like, and I'm a fan of boots. I own 1 pair of sneakers and I play drums in them. The rest of the time, I'm wearing boots. So, appropriate clothing. I always have an outer garment near me, right? Like, I start my day, I get up at 5 a.m., right? It's always cooler at 5 a.m. than it is at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The end, right? So because I start my day at 5 a.m., at some point I'm taking layers off, and then later in the day I'm putting them back on again. About 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, things really start to cool down, I'm putting those layers back on again. So I've got that with me. Good footwear, good clothing. Clothing is your C, your first line of defense for your cover C, right? It's clothing. So I've got that. I've got all the things with me. I've got my cutting tool, my combustion. You know, I've got 2 knives with me, a folder and a fixed blade. combustion, which is a lighter and matches, and fire kit on the war belt and the whole nine, which I wouldn't even really be making fire. I don't need it for warmth this time of year. Maybe for coffee, maybe, but it's instant coffee. You know, and I'm not drinking it because it's enjoyable. I'm drinking it because I want the caffeine. So I could just dump that in the canteen and shake and drink that way. Right? But I have combustion. You know, and it's not like let's go camping for 3 days trying to make our way back home, which is another point. 20 miles a day. Can I do it? Yeah. You know, it wouldn't be enjoyable, but it can be done. I can do four-ish miles in an hour with 97 pounds. I don't like it, but I can do it. So this is about 50 pounds, 15-pound war belt, and the rifle just called 10 pounds, 25, and a 25-pound day pack is 50, right? Maybe I throw, you know, a few other things scavenged from the car is 60. I ruck 60 with 60 pounds. When I ruck in the mornings, I ruck with 60 pounds, 60.5 pounds. So that's totally doable for me. And I would ask you, is it doable for you? So I got my cover. You know, there's a poncho back there in that day pack, space blanket, blah, blah, blah. Cover, combustion, cutting tool, 2 of them. Cordage, yup. Bootlaces in the day pack. I've got paracord, blah, 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 right? Container, yep. I've got 2 canteens, you know, one on the belt with a cup, one on the bag with a cup, and then I've got water bottles, 1 liter smart water bottles in the day pack. So got all that. Do I have combat? Yes. I've got 2 pistols. I got a 9mm with a reload, a 45 with 3 reloads, and then 2 more reloads on the war belt for the 45. So that's 5 mags right there, plus 1 rifle mag, plus 2 more on the war belt. War melt. Yeah, it's this new sandwich we make. It's called a war melt. It's phenomenal. 2 more on the war belt. So that's 5 mags. Less than ideal. Yes. Better than nothing. Yes. So 1 in the gun, 2 on the war belt, 2 in the day pack. So, and I thought about putting 2 more in there before I left, and truthfully, I just didn't do it. So maybe I'll die because of that. Maybe I won't. We'll see. So I gotta navigate. 2 phones, dual wielding iPhones. 3.7 miles if you're left. Copy that. So I've got my combat, I've got my casualty care, I got a boo-boo kit and a blowout kit on line 1. I've got a blowout kit in my man bag over here, and there's a boo-boo kit in the day pack. So I've got that. I've got my commo. I've got a radio in the side door pocket over here, and I've got a radio on my war belt. And then there's a different, more high-speedier radio in the day pack. So I got my commo. Casualty care, commo. I got calories, right? What am I missing? Combat. We talked about combat. I've got 3 weapons on me. We're good. We're good. So the last C, the extra C that I throw in there all the time is conditioning, right? Which we talked about, 60 miles in 3 days. Can it be done? Yep, it can absolutely be done. It could be done in 2 days, you know? It's not going to be enjoyable, but the point, it's not about, is this enjoyable, right? It's about getting home again. And so, you know, and I guess one other thing that I'll just add here, you know, a little glimpse behind the scenes, which is this, all this really is a little thought piece, glimpse behind the scenes, an insight into how my brain works in situations like this. Is, you know, I told my wife before I left, just like I usually do, you know, if I'm going anywhere other than the nearest town for something, I tell her, I said, hey, you know where the radios are at? You know what frequencies we use? I will be within radio range in X number of hours, assuming that I can't drive home. If I can drive home, I'll be within radio range at this time. If I can't drive home, I will be within radio range, ideally, on this day at this time. Monitor the radio. You know what to do. This is where I'm going. This is who I'm seeing. This is my itinerary, blah, blah, blah. This is what to look out for. And we have a little brief before I go. right? And then we pray, and then we, do the kissy hug thing and out the door. So my wife is in the loop as well. She's not like, oh my gosh, the world ended. I wonder when he'll be back. Where did he go? How do I use this radio thing? How does this pistol that he got me work? Like, she's up to speed on all this stuff. And she is a very well protected woman. So, I would rather be there, and obviously the onus is on me to get home in the event of an emergency, which is why I have all this stuff on me and behind me. But she's capable and can take care of herself as well, and she's well armed and well trained and surrounded by weapons and surrounded by good people and all the things. But I'm managing that expectation before I even go out the door as to where I'm going, what I'm doing, who I will be with, when I will be back, and what she should expect. Okay? All of that's a big deal. And so I'm not saying you should do this or shouldn't do this. I'm sure for some of you guys, you would do this completely different. Some of you girls would do this completely different. And that's cool, man. This is what works for me. I don't have a monopoly on expertise or information. I'm just giving you a little bit of insight into what I do and how I do it. And I think that you should think about, when you go a little bit farther from home than usual, right? How do you do that loadout? What does that loadout look like? And maybe if you work 60 miles from home, which a lot of people do, maybe this is your daily driver loadout. Your EDC for your car. What do you keep in there? And when I was driving back and forth between Texas, I had a 200-mile bug out kit in my vehicle. It was set up for 10 days, 20 miles a day. Recce rifle, chest rig, and a rucksack. Because I was at most going to be 200 miles from home, got to get home again, figure 10 days, and had the same style of brief with my wife every time I left to go back to work in Texas. Hey, if things happen, on yada, 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 you need to be looking for me. Best case scenario, probably in about 6 days. Worst case scenario, in about 14 days. If you don't see me within 14 days, something is probably wrong. Okay? But you don't have permission to freak out up until 2 weeks from now. Okay? Love you. Bye. So, I don't know, guys. I just was having these thoughts driving down the road. Wanted to bring you guys into the conversation. Do the likey, commenty, subscribey, sharey thing. I'm amazed by the way the channel is growing, just leaps and bounds. It's absolutely the hand of the Father. It's a blessing to me, and I hope that this channel has been a blessing to y'all. And I would just encourage you guys to have real conversations with the people you love about your conviction to be prepared. Seek the Father's face. Humble yourself daily in front of Him. Do His will. And man, get ready, because there's a storm coming, and I want to make sure that we can all brave this storm to the best of our broken ability. So, shalom and blessings, y'all. Bye.